and welcome to the Backlash Review. We are the Dudley Boys of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilbourn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened at Backlash over the weekend. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick live on YouTube. It's been a long time. Thank you to Vanders who pointed it out. It's been 31 days since our last live YouTube show, but we are here.
Too long.
We are here to look back on a divisive show, certainly in this studio.
Yeah, I did tease this out on the Raw preview, which you can get on this very channel. But I was very much looking forward to having a conversation with Sidge about this show, in which I know we're going to be pulls apart at various points, because I sort of found myself like philosophically at odds with most of the criticism towards this show, and I know that's not going to be the case with Sidge. I liked Backlash, but I liked it on paper, and I saw criticism of the card, and I didn't really get that. So like, this wasn't a perfect PLE, far from it. But when I saw the criticism of the card, I was like, I don't think I get this. I'm at odds with what people don't like about this. And then sure enough, when it mostly delivered on my expectations, I was then at odds with some of the specific criticisms as well.
Do you think it was one of those things where sometimes people who clearly don't watch week-to-week WWE...
Well, this is sort of a good news, bad news situation for those people. We have celebrated, and rightfully so, in my opinion, when... as like AEW has turned a corner, certainly in the last 6 months or so, there's been this sense of just be your best self. It's the best thing you can do is be your best self. And I would argue with Backlash, certainly more than WrestleMania, by the way, WWE was being its best self, and yet I got the sense that people were tuning in saying, where's my non-WWE? And I couldn't get on with that. Do you know what I mean? Because we've talked about this, and we've often said how you love them equally. No, you can't. They're different, and they should be different.
Yeah.
And the further apart they move, the better it is for everybody, because you either have one that you love and have one that you hate, or you are able to like both ones while acknowledging different products, different shows, different needs.
Different needs.
Like, I felt like a lot of the criticism being levied at this particular show was being done based on expectations that shouldn't exist of a WWE PLE. Personally, from some of the stuff I read, and I thought this performed well as a WWE show. As somebody that likes that, I got a lot of what I wanted from this card.
I feel like we're going to be the same but different in our takes, right? Because I've got two main thoughts before we go match by match by match by development by development by development. Main thought number one, I think this is meant to be a big special show. PLE, premium, clues in the name, for a PLE in terms of the match quality, the hype, all the rest of it, everything that comes with being one of your biggest shows of the year. And yes, obviously, it's below SummerSlam, it's below Mania, it's below the Rumble, it's below Money in the Bank. It's one of the lesser big shows. It's still a big, big show from a white-hot company. I don't necessarily have a problem with the 5-match card. I'll welcome a bit of brevity in my pro wrestling. I do not get enough of it. This didn't feel big enough, momentous enough, good enough for the richest wrestling promotion of all time. Just didn't. Didn't feel special or big. Didn't excel outside of perhaps one match, right? So on that basis, the resources that go into WWE, how much they are desperate to tell you that how big it is. Not good enough, not special enough, right? So that was main thought number one. Main thought number two, between the optimistic nostalgia, but if you have it, you have it, of the main event. Like Cena versus Orton in 2025 as a main event, to Michael Cole being sort of put forward and promoted as this conscience of WWE, this face voice of WWE, this most important guy, or one of the most important guys in WWE, finally standing up for his mate and getting a moment. You have to really like WWE if you like this show. You have to have the biggest buy-in possible to be cheering on Michael Cole as this big, huge soul of WWE, you know, to get.
As a lot of the building did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That's
That's
the
right?
point, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I couldn't
That's
get
the thing.
on with. I was like, hang on, there's a buy-in. What was it, like 17,000 people? Something like
that.
that. One of the loudest pops tonight was when he stood up, and you're like,
not being funny. This really, really more so than Mania, and that's the thing is you can probably tell if you've watched us long enough, or if you've listened to us long enough. I'm not that person, not that guy. I don't have that buy-in. I don't like Michael Cole. He's not the voice of my generation. He's not the voice of my youth. I don't think he's the GOAT, as they are calling him. It's this big shift away from, Jim Ross or history or anything. You have to, and these people did. They've found a way, in much the same way, to their credit, as AEW has got Tony Schiavone over as this big, charming, you are the voice of wrestling to a lot of people spanning generations. When Tony Schiavone in AEW, people do heat segments at his expense all the time, and AEW's core audience will think, very clever, people love Tony Schiavone, exploit that, beat him up if you need to, shove him, create this thing where you can't lay your hands on him. It's a big no-no. It's a big transgression. WWE have done the exact same thing with Michael Cole to deafening effect at Backlash. It's worked very well for WWE's audience. Guess what? I hate Michael Cole. But you can do that, and you should do that. Get heat where you can get it. Get reactions where you can get them. This was a show for WWE fans, like big, big, big time. And I feel like if you're not even inclined to like it a little bit, you're going to hate it on that basis, even though it worked extraordinarily well for their audience. Like, there was nothing on this show that could touch, like, remotely touch the triple threat you got on the opener of Night 2 WrestleMania. That is, I would contend that if you didn't like that match, you have this thing with WWE, and I know it's very rich of me to say it. I know that. If you couldn't get that match, you've got this blinkered outlook where nothing they do, irrespective of what it is they're doing, will ever reach you because you've just got this staunch no. And that's fine, but why talk about it? This was very much, if you don't like the Fed, you really don't like the show.
I had a good feeling about this podcast. I was kind of looking forward to this exact conversation, and I'm glad Sidgwick's put it in those terms from the earliest date, because I was watching live, and it's the one-arm bandit thing with X where you pull down and you're like, what else? And I don't mind, by the way, anybody like disagreeing.
It's a misery jackpot every time.
Unlucky sevens.
Sad face. Oh,
you're a loser. Over and over again.
That's just my replies.
There was a thing it was probably most prominent around 2023 when a lot of people, and again, I'll very much back us and our coverage as a result, like, we're just simply not prepared to, like, credit Triple H or the WWE Machine or Nick Khan or Rob Fee or anybody, Paul Heyman even, for the blood, like, whatever. Credit these people, these assholes, for, like, doing good stuff, right? And then in 2024, you have something like Cody Rhodes finishing the story, and he's broadly, universally beloved, and it kind of becomes around him, and you can be like, well, I can credit Cody Rhodes, but not there's all. It's like, and I get that, and I completely understand that as well.
Paul Heyman drove the bloodline.
Like, sort of generational dislike of certain key figures is going to stop you, or like create obstacles as to praising those people for maybe good work they've done. But what I like to think anyway, because I care deeply for it, and Sidge is one of the best analysts in the game.
Thank you.
There was what we needed to get away from then was like, just stop saying WWE doing their slop wrestling for idiots. Like, and I was seeing that with this Backlash coverage. And I can see he's itching.
I'm itching.
But like, there was a couple of things here where I was like, I don't think that was slop wrestling for idiots. I think that was good WWE for WWE fans.
Yeah.
And I think like that's a really important distinction to make. And that was what was like grinding my gears a little bit, because it's just like, that is no better or no worse than like, where are we at with they doing that? Flippy crap or something?
Yeah.
You watch like that, like a quality Young Bucks speedball, like 6-man on Dynamite. It's just flippy crap. It's obviously not. Look at the audience going insane for it. Yeah. You can sit home and squeal at those flips, right? Like, that's great AEW. Elements here for me were like borderline great WWE, and like massive portions of WrestleMania, I don't think we're anywhere near as good as some of the stuff on this card.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I didn't watch it live. I was away with the family in Manchester over the weekend. I got back on Sunday night. I'd avoided all the spoilers. Avoided all the spoilers.
That's what they say. It's how they say it.
They do.
And I settle down Sunday night and I watch this show. And I have a good time watching the show. And then I stupidly think, what everyone else thought about this show. And I was like, it's the bit in Community walks when he walks in with the pizzas. What's happening here? I thought everyone just had quite a good time watching this show, and everyone's just like, yeah, like you say, some people are like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Something like this is why wrestling's dead and awful and what have you, and they've ruined everything.
Twitter's the school playground analogy, isn't it? It's like you wouldn't go and have like forthright opinions with a completely different group to you.
No,
and yet Twitter is like, you would get beat up in that group, and then you would have your friends back you in this group.
I get it. I used to have a phrase called "be born earlier." I have since dropped that phrase because when people say, "God, why are people comparing this new Paul Heyman stable to Evolution? Dangerous Alliance is better." These people do not know what the Dangerous Alliance are.
Yeah.
They're well within their rights to not care about it. If you consider their opinion bad and ignorant, rather than say, are they, they've got the wrong opinions, you could just simply ignore them. Imagine X as a real place. These people are obviously too young for you to be talking to, you nons. So maybe just don't talk to them or even acknowledge their conversation. They're just happening separately. They're happening simultaneously. It's a flaw of this app that some of us are addicted to. And if you're not addicted to this app, well, we're just going to get on with the matches. You're all addicted to wrestling, aren't you? So everyone can agree with it.
Let's dive into it.
Might as well face it, you're addicted to the business.
We started the show with Fatal 4-Way for the US title. Another great multi-man match. Who'd have thought it? Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight versus Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Usual sort of Fatal 4-Way multi-person affair in terms of everyone has a moment where they hit moves on everyone in the match, and then one of them breaks up the pinfall early on, sort of
All
thing.
moves, some breaks.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. It's good stuff.
I love Jacob Fatu from
stuff.
the moment he walks out with the US title as like a collar around his neck.
Yeah.
Great entrance. And this was the sort of Jacob Fatu show yet again here. The big moment that everyone's really talking about. I'm not going to really go, move for move in these matches because we've all seen it.
And these matches had everything, of course.
Yeah,
They just worked.
They just worked.
Tell you what else had everything. The thing
Do your
that
job.
I tried this weekend that is one of the greatest things ever, which I'll get back to. So Drew, I think it was in the Tree of Woe, and there's like Knight and Jacob Fatu, and they're fighting on the top rope. And McIntyre does that awesome spot, which still amazes me that he's able to do it. He like rises back up, suplexes LA Knight, and then Jacob Fatu gets superplexed. Well, he sort of swantons onto LA Knight, and then just pops up, cleans house, keeps nailing everyone. But LA Knight hits the blunt force trauma on Fatu. Priest hits the South of Heaven on Knight, turns around into a Claymore, but collapses on top of Priest collapses on top of LA Knight for a great near fall, with Drew basically having to save the thing that he set up. It looks
Timing was very good on that.
Yeah. It looks like Drew might win it at one point. He hits a Claymore. I think it was on LA Knight. And the referee's counting, but Priest pulls out the referee at the last second. And, call back to the history that these two have. And they brawl into the crowd. There was a point, I can't remember who it was, that I just wanted to mention, actually, the Samoan drop onto the barricade that Jacob Fatu hit that looked like it sucked to take. But yeah, they brawl into the crowd. I'll just write them out, and then we'll talk about the finish to this match, because they brawl on top of some like flight cases and what have you, and Priest and McIntyre fight on top. It looks like Drew's going to hit Priest, but Priest gets out of it. South of Heaven choke slams through a load of tables and what have you. I think Drew suffered a concussion. Hope he's all right. I think Damian Priest has got wobbly tooth. Hope he's all right. And then it was in the news today, and I thought it was such a weird phrase. It was like, he's got wobbly tooth. I was like, that sounds silly and childish, but anyone who's had problems with their teeth knows, that sucks for the rest of the week.
Is teeth pain the worst of all time?
I was just thinking he's going to be in the money because he gets to put that under the pillow tomorrow night, doesn't he?
When you have like a significant issue with a tooth and the nerves, it's like, it is torture.
Yeah.
Torture.
Been pretty lucky, other than the occasional you bite into something. And then, I'll never eat again. And then look at me, I did.
It's all good. It's good stuff.
That leaves us with LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, and it looks like LA Knight gets the better of him. In fact, they fight to the outside. It looks like LA Knight's going to hit his LA Knight elbow from the turnbuckle to the commentary table set up on the outside. But Jacob Fatu is saved by Solo Sikoa. LA Knight goes out after him, and he's attacked by a debuting Jeff Cobb, who kills LA Knight. Jacob Fatu even does a good confused face, who just goes, all right then, I'll take it, I suppose. Finishes off with the hip attack and the moonsault. 1, 2, 3, Jacob Fatu retains the US title, but the big story here is, of course, Jeff Cobb.
Other than the fact that I don't think anyone should sign anyone at the moment. I'm just in a bad mood with the wrestlers getting signed. Sorry, wrestlers. This was a superb bit of business all the way around. Like a really good match on its own steam.
Jeff Cobb's retirement gimmick was particularly cringeworthy, I thought.
I've seen that coming. Yeah. Aye. I hate having to put you a bit over, but they do continue to be good, these multi-mans of late. So you might be onto something. And this was the best and most economical use of a multi-man match, where, of course, it needs to be entertaining on its own steam, but the ideal is you set off a bunch of other stuff. I didn't think there was more with Drew and Damien after WrestleMania. I still don't, but they've worked to buy one more, like Falls Count Anywhere or Last Man Standing, Saturday Night's Main Event. There's a gazillion frigging shows that need matches. There's one more in them, you can tell that, and fair enough. And obviously, if Drew recovers, then all is well, and they can get to that whenever they get to it. And it was quite
split
nice.
them up with a draft, I suppose, if need be.
It was quite nice how the ways that they reached the point where they had no choice but to fight into the crowd were earned. So you had Drew McIntyre, the one in particular where he almost has it won, and then he's doing the "you again,"
not another one,
and that, like, they are pretty good. Like, I think I'm assuming it's Drew McIntyre reaching that point in his career where he is asking that second question. Oh, you're going to lose tonight, or you're not going to win, or whatever. Way, how? Like, so that, like, his character now, if you track the last couple of years, he has every right to feel like with Damian Priest at WrestleMania, he's done and dusted. And that character,
there's always a backlash. That's why they call it that.
It was in the title all along.
That's why they call it that.
He's like, well, Drew, we need you for. It's not round the horn anymore because we don't do house shows, but we need you round the horn with Damian Priest for another month. How?
Round the smack.
Yeah, round the smack for another month. How? Way. And they come up with that spot in particular. I thought
What
it was quite nice.
you got?
Is that anything? So then they do that, and then there you go. So you're away with that
Two
one.
swords.
LA Knight, meanwhile, feels like he's on like a slow route to a heel turn.
Yes.
And could have lost here a few times and won't want to confront that. Like, he was kind of out. He's got like a reasonable argument to say I would have had it won without this new Jeff Cobb alliance, but there was also a few times where he was well beaten. And that denial is probably, it's Triple H in 6 months going to inform a heel turn for LA Knight. But you can sort of sense that's where that's going as well. Meanwhile, Jacob Fatu, this was the plot point. This was the moment in the story where they've just absolutely given people the permission slip to cheer him as the babyface. Everything up to now was almost this kind of awkward, and it was affecting the way his matches were playing out as well, and that was going to become a problem of, well, he's awesome, so fans back winners and just want to love Jacob Fatu. But the longer he was a complete monster enacting like these evil deeds on baby faces or working on behalf of Solo Sikoa or whatever it was, whatever the motivation was, that needed addressing and it needed flipping. And yes, it was on the nose. Like, commentators were screaming at you that Jacob Fatu doesn't look like he knows what's going on, as he was acting that he didn't know what was going on. But you do need to do that, and it plays to Solo's insecurity that he's just had this, whatever remains of this new bloodline, he's just had it lifted off.
He just got pinned on SmackDown as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he's had this entire thing lifted off him by Jacob, so of course he would be looking to shore up his own ranks for the day that Jacob outright replaces him. It's tidy storytelling, and it does allow the audience, this is it now. There's your sort of like open door that you can run through and cheer Jacob as much as you want, because sooner or later they're going to turn on him and he's going to be at a disadvantage and he's going to battle through them. I tweeted this, like, they showed you it about a year ago. I still think we're in good hands for it. Next year's Rumble needs to present Braun and Jacob as 2005's did Cena and Batista, because you're pushing two megastars in waiting at the same time and both look like they're going to work. It's exciting that. It's exciting to see these things happening.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, I'm going to put my foot into your shin and repeatedly kick it, okay, until you understand. Multi-man matches are invariably very good because they guarantee excitement with the use of various quite cheap but nonetheless effective devices. However, people don't like to see them because they too often come at the expense of really good personal issues drawing money booking. Okay, I'm going to kick you in the shin, Mr. Thompson. Do you understand?
I think he's talking to you.
Right, okay. So, two things really. One, this was a fatal four-way match. I've seen them.
No lies detected.
I've seen them
Yes.
a lot in recent years, more so in recent weeks and months.
A Laura four ways, as Cilla Black would say.
She would have.
Topical.
She would have said that. However, like there's some guy from like Little Cark, Arkansas out there going, who the hell's Cilla Black?
She was the original leader of the House of Black.
She related to Malachi?
Okay, so it is in fact so easy.
Surprise, surprise, he's still speaking in riddles.
It is in fact so easy to structure and execute an exciting fatal four-way match because of the various tropes and devices that you can manufacture pops and near falls out of, that I contend that it's almost impossible to do a bad one. I mean, the Botchley and Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez and Julia managed precisely that on NXT a couple of months ago. But that was the outlier. That was the aberration.
You used to say it was fives, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's because the characters are booked all right now. Back when you needed an extra person because it was like, everyone sucks here.
Yeah. They're so easy to get right that they are almost... It's a failure-proof match, and that can feel cheap, and that doesn't, for me, justify the almost invariably bad or tropey booking that leads and that informs them, that books them, that builds them. Basically, this is a very long-winded way of saying I'm not impressed by it, but I am excited. Like, they don't really get me praising lavishly these matches because they're quite easy to do. They're quite easy to do at this point. And I've seen that, was it Cena, Orton, Edge, JBL, or whoever was in that match?
Yeah, might have been Edge, Triple H.
Whoever it was.
Yeah,
I mean, you've seen them, but they get me in the moment and they will not leave a lasting impression. But guess what? It's a PLE, pay-per-view, whatever, opener. I had a really good time with this because it was just so brisk. Some of the spots looked like they sucked. There was some proper good excitement and drama and physicality here. I really like this as a pay-per-view opener. I'm just not like doing cartwheels or saying, oh, God, WWE's the best, isn't it? For doing a four-way match, they're piss easy. I am going to say one nice thing. I think this use of Jeff Cobb is perfect. Absolute perfection. I was half worried you were going to get another series of vignettes or a shock debut and he comes in and kills someone and then he, does what Rusev's doing with Otis and Tozawa or what Mali friggin' Black is doing with The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, who together are called...
Oh, sorry. They are Mellow Don't Miz, and they are awesome.
Correct. Where it's like, oh, God, I've got another Jeff Cobb, and he's going to kill some mid-carders and then just do next to nothing for however many months. They are building to two great things. Like a really good-looking Clash of the Titans style match and the full formal Jacob Fatu babyface turn, which is not before time. What a vehicle that is to get there. I could not have been happier with the way that they are using Jeff Cobb, even if his actual introduction fell on his ass. Fell on his ass, didn't he? Did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah, he fell on his ass. The old Tangle Lower introduction.
A year ago as well,
A year
Backlash.
ago. It's funny how they had like Roman beating Solo because Solo became no longer the big bad in his own group. But Jacob has since turned babyface, and it's like, he's still not the big bad. We just needs producing big bads. Solo, like, you got any more big bads back there?
Yeah.
You were not it.
Right, Hikaleo. He can be his pal in a year's time. He can be his Backlash buddy.
2026.
Solo Sikoa's Backlash buddy.
Following that, we had the
Keep peering under the ring. Any big bads?
women's IC title match. It was, of course, Lyra Valkyria against Becky Lynch. Fun story, this match of Lyra Valkyria showcasing, I'm better than you remember. I'm far superior to you because I've been doing this week in and week out for quite some time now. She was out wrestling Becky Lynch for large parts of this match. Becky Lynch kept going and occasionally hitting for some surprise near falls. There was a lot more near falls in this than I anticipated there was going to be. Kept hitting the manhandle slam. At one point, Becky just gives up, grabs a chair. Obviously, that's to distract the referee, Jessica Cara, I believe it was. So she could busy herself with that so Becky can rip off the top turnbuckle. That feeds into it later. Rather than a bump, though, Becky tries for another manhandle slam, but that gets counted into a Nightwing. And the referee is busy with fixing the turnbuckle pad back on and therefore is late to counting a Nightwing, which means you can only get 2 from it. They trade roll-ups. There's also a bit where Lyra Valkyria got sent into the turnbuckle, but the middle one rather than the bottom one. And then the finish, I don't know what exactly happened. I watched it back a few times. Fairly certain Becky Lynch just clocked Lyra Valkyria right in the nose. There was a bit of panic whether she's broken it or not. I've not heard any reports as of that just yet. But
We'll aggregate them. Don't worry.
Yeah. Lyra Valkyria just catches her with a roll-up and gets the upset pin. Becky attacks her post-match and has to be stopped by the usual parade of people. But yeah, Lyra Valkyria, I hope her nose is all right because I thought it was a really good showing for her, this.
I love this, and I loved it in spite of its imperfections, and this might be where sort of, if you're the type of person like I am, which extends generosity to the wrestlers alike or the promotion alike.
You got a bit of fed goodwill.
Yeah. And you especially want it for someone like a Becky Lynch. There were a couple of moments in this match that I admired the ambition of so much that I allowed for them being poorly performed. The turnbuckle spot with Jessica Carr simply was not executed.
Not good enough.
But the idea was great on paper. I loved so much Becky Lynch's performance at times, levels above. When Lyra hits the middle instead of the top and Becky sells the frustration, that scans as real. Because your watch this all your life brain is going, well, she's supposed to hit the top one for the spot there. And then you realise, no, she wasn't. And Becky, the character, is just so in this. Oh, no, you were supposed to go on the top one. That would have knocked you out. And so I love that as a detail. Becky Lynch, we've put her over ad nauseum for the last 4 years. The gift keeps on giving, Becky Lynch. She gave up the manhandle slam here, and it's not like it won't be over all over again if she works with somebody else. If she's put against if there's a rehab match in a couple of weeks and she has to pin somebody and she wins with the manhandle slam, nobody's going to go. Lyra Valkyria kicked out 3 of them in the pay-per-view. It was one of them nights where it was just the match was constructed in such a way where it was to illustrate Lyra's fighting spirit. And yeah, Becky's underestimating of how far Lyra has come out of her shadow while she's been away, almost making Becky's evil plan of taking Bayley out and taking the spot seem patronising and condescending. Who do you think you are? I'm not just the Intercontinental Champion because you were gone, and I'm doing my best to be the next best Becky Lynch. I've become the first best Lyra Valkyria, and for a main eventer to opt into a story like that and then opt into a match that leans so heavy on that story is incredible. And the match at points really, really stood up to the quite lofty tale they were trying to tell. A couple of janky moments aside, which I was willing to go along with because I was deeply invested in it. I think this was a superb night for the character of Lyra Valkyria, even if I would have loved it if there was a couple of moments where the in-ring would have tightened up. There is time for that.
They're going to run it back, aren't they, clearly?
I think so.
Probably for a Bayley return.
They might do hang on. Hold the phone here. They might do a trilogy.
Slipped over very much. They've kept the belt on her, but the win is the thing that matters. It's Road Dogg heavy on SmackDown. It's Debbie Deek, City Jones. But just about WWE is still the place where wins and losses matters because they get referenced in promos and they have reasons for wanting to fight again and people getting angry and hard. We don't know, as we're recording this, we don't know what Becky Lynch does next. But this defeat will matter. And the fact that she snapped on her the same way she did after WrestleMania is showing the side of Becky Lynch who at this point in her career cannot take losing. She cannot fathom that she has become a wrestler that can lose now. And I think that's an interesting character trait for her to flesh out as well. Love this.
I guess the theme of my review is who cares what I think, because there's an entire audience who seem to have really done the buy-in on Lyra Valkyria. I would like this to be coined. Maybe people start saying it as well. The Sisyphus wrestler. It's been this weird. Some wrestlers just have it where they are really good, sometimes great, or very consistent, who can work bands into a reaction and into a really good closing stretch for whatever reason, no pap when they come out. We see it with Daniel Garcia in AEW. Lyra Valkyria was this about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was getting some really good, strong, encouraging reactions from the opening bell here. More performances like this, a deeper story with Becky Lynch, which I feel is going to progress and continue. They'll probably do a trilogy, for Christ's sake. And we might get there. We might get there. She needs something, I don't know, Eel Sky-esque, some kind of crowd appeal, some kind of distinctive signature taunt, catchphrase. Like, she could stop flapping her wings, as Wilbourn has just done. Like, "Baka! Baka!"
Hey, bird.
That's Nick Jackson.
I thought it was you selling us going to WrestleMania or doing a live show.
Yeah, is this anything? I don't know. She needs something because at the minute she is capital G, capital W, good wrestler.
Yeah.
The storyline could help her, but she'll need to reach another level. But she's on the way. Whereas she was having these Sisyphus matches against the Dakota Kai. She had an awesome match with months and months ago where you thought, all right, okay, well, she's getting over. And then 2 months later, no, oh, God, she's just rolling that rock, that boulder, up the mountain, back down it goes.
It's one of the first couple of like matches where she was champion because they've not really done the work.
Yeah.
And she was getting people in on TV.
But her fire in the promos, she was getting watered and then she just banished them, which is really impressive about a week or two ago. So it is happening for her. And I do think this story continues to be a very good idea. This had moments of a jank, as Hamflett mentioned, glaring for me, who's not that much of a fed head, did distract me from it. I thought they went a bit long as well, but I can understand why this match in particular, especially on this night, went long. You want to tell the story of an epic struggle, someone who can hang in there in, 18 minutes or so with
Something
Becky
like that,
Lynch. These are ways to portray and depict wrestlers as stars. The long match, as bored as I am of it, it's a vehicle. It is almost like a bit of currency to be considered good. If you go long, that means you're good. It's a weird way of working. I don't necessarily think it's that great, but it's an easy shortcut, an ironic shortcut, if anything. Some of Becky Lynch's facials as well, a bit much for me. A bit much. We get it. You're trying to tell the story that you haven't bargained for how far along this protege figure is and that you are losing your grasp on the main event or victory. And I get it.
It's a flaw in her game.
Yeah.
It sort of creeps into the promo sometimes as well.
Yeah.
The more stress she gets.
Yeah, but it's sometimes a bit cringeworthy. But no, like, obviously, moments that were hard not for me, but broadly, considering the reaction she was getting 6 weeks ago to now, a tremendous success.
John Harrison suggests, with regards to Lyra Valkyria, she could lay an egg after each match or before each match.
And then gift them to a young fan in the front row.
Of which
So she comes out. What's the music?
Dun, dun, dun. Woo! Dun, dun, dun. Woo, woo.
Do. Egg. Lays the egg. And then goes, who wants it? Who wants it? And then
They take it home, and then
And
a little
then-
Lyra Valkyria
and all the
grows
little
at
kids
home.
Austin Theory steals it for a picture.
Yeah,
and all the little kids in the audience like, oh, God, I hope I get the egg tonight.
I think that's perfect.
Survivor Series egg lore is all I'm
Just
just
a bunch of little Lyra Valkyria figures that come out of the egg. There's a Lyra Valkyria action figure in the egg, so when it hatches, you got a Lyra Valkyria toy. What's your favourite toy?
There's layers to this.
Can we get Dwayne?
When did this happen? When did we start talking like this? I don't know, man.
Can we get?
It's a good job we don't do
I never
this.
know.
Get Dwayne for a big Survivor Series, sort of
Egg
legacy. Yeah.
Legacy.
Can we get him? No, but we can get an egg. That'll have to do.
Yeah. The Rock
Favorite
sent,
thing.
The Rock sent an egg. Is this anything?
God, the
Right.
reunion, but here's an
Turns out
egg.
it is something. It's about 6 weeks of TV. Remember when they sent Roman to the office?
Yeah.
What is my direction? I'm the tribal friggin' chief. How am I
You steal the egg? Huh? What do you reckon to the egg? Huh?
I can speak up on the desk.
At least he was the only one to like not show any fear of intimidation of McMahon or trying to impress him like Rollins was and
Yeah.
Theory, who just sat there and was, oh, good, it means you're more rich, I can have more money.
And all those poor bastards who were there to greet the egg when it arrived, who all of them you could see, it was just like, you screw this up and we'll release you tomorrow.
So it's basically the TNA roster.
Yeah.
Greatness
on a different egg.
Just, what's the next match?
Well,
Got some bloody questions to get to. Thank you for them, by the way. I'm trying to stop him getting distracted.
from the women's IC title to the men's, Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. Dominic Mysterio, obviously a far superior wrestler than Penta, hit a nice suicide dive into a DDT at ringside early on in the match. Also channeled Liv Morgan in the match, hitting an Oblivion at one point. There was a nice Mexican destroyer on the apron from Penta. And then here comes Carlito and JD McDonough and Finn Balor, and they do the usual Judgment Day shtick of distracting the referee, except this time they are caught red-handed trying to involve themselves in the match and getting a chair and what have you. Penta did something I've never seen before. He flipped over the referee to dive to the outside to take out Carlito and JD McDonough. They're all kicked out of ringside, but in amongst all this, El Grande Americano shows up to headbutt Penta, who's on the top turnbuckle, and in the end, Dominic Mysterio retains his IC title.
So you'd never seen Penta, or in fact anybody, dive over the referee before. So that was the first time ever.
Got to be one of the first times, yeah.
Was that the bit you were building up to? Because you've got a first time ever you'd like to share with the listeners.
Oh, yes. This weekend, this is not really a hot take, because you've almost definitely done this. I don't know about yourself. A more refined palate, let's say. I had my first ever Cinnabon at the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you.
Oh my God.
The world's changed. It looks different now. Whatever it is, that like cum sauce that they put on top of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's 1,500 calories.
all of it.
Yeah, kill yourself.
I had two yesterday.
Yeah. 1,500 calories a shot. They're unbelievable.
They
Oh
are
my God.
amazing.
They are, I like them a great deal. Not going to replace some of my favorite go-to snacks, but if there's one on a spread, I'm going to eat it.
We got one in the northeast, or
We have one. It's at the South Shields Asda.
Yes.
Upstairs in South Shields Asda.
And he loves South Shields.
yes.
Who doesn't? It's
They're
goated.
Do you know, Sidge? I mentioned you walking the street of Vegas with my cousin Nick because he was looking for a place to eat when we were busy doing a work thing, and we passed
The Crack Shack.
the Crack Shack, and I was like, you know, Sidge is a bit of a foodie, and there was it honey mustard?
Pineapple mustard.
Pineapple mustard in there
Oh
that
my
he said was one of
God.
the best things he's ever tasted, right? And I don't know if it's ever come across. I'm not much of a foodie. I'm going to get there now. I'm in my
Not yet.
40s. Not yet. It's coming. But speaking of come, I had a similar experience with Phil in the coffee shop in Seattle that inspired the coffee shop from Frasier. They don't make a big thing of it in Seattle. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. I think there's something's gone on there. I think there's a bit of a foo-ed. I don't know. But anyway, so we're in this coffee shop and Phil's getting a cinnamon bun. And the cum sauce, as you eloquently describe it, came in its own little jar. So you could apply...
Cum jar?
Like a little cum jar. You could apply like as much or as little as you wanted.
Come in my jar.
And like, that's the Frasier thing. Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling. Come in my jar tonight. That's about eggs as well, isn't it?
again.
I'm coming again.
Come in the jar.
And like your mustard, Phil said, that's the best cinnamon bun he's ever had.
Wow.
Ever. And I would I'd tried a bit, but I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. But genuinely, the IKEA cook at home ones,
Really?
trust me on this one. Like, follow the instructions to the letter, otherwise you will burn them / ruin them / whatever. You have to supply your own cum sauce. Also available.
Not a
at the
problem.
IKEA.
Bam, not a factor.
Also available at the IKEA shop. But yeah, surprisingly good.
Gluten cum or something they probably call it, don't they?
Is it gluten cum?
I don't know.
I don't know if gluten-free people can have that. But yeah, surprisingly good, the IKEA make at home ones.
As was this match.
This was a TV match mostly.
Yeah.
But-
Glorify TV.
But I'm gonna put over WWE. What have you seen?
Sorry, Vander's in the chat. Thank you, everyone in the chat. I will get around to your questions eventually. Just says, Costa sell a bootleg Cinnabon. I was like, here we go. They're no longer allowed to heat it up as more on customers were burning their mouths.
I mean, come on, blow on it.
Ow! If only they sold other hot things that you would have to know to wait till they cool down slightly. Thanks for the coffee. Ah!
It's happening again. It keeps happening. Idiots. This is a TV match, mostly. I think there was some nice agenting done here. I really, really like Dominic Mysterio, and I think he gets it more and more with every passing month in a way that I don't think I give him enough credit for. The babyface thing at WrestleMania was a bit of a alarm bell moment. Just a low-key one, because it was awesome to see, like, to be in that crowd, but to see the crowd respond and WWE just go with it and be like, let the baby have his bottle tonight. But there's a bit of a protest vote underneath that Dominic Mysterio babyface response. And it's been a while since WWE had them, and there's a few starting to creep in. Yeah. Protest votes, right? And it happened again here when it wasn't happening on TV. So it's almost like the PLE audience is this slightly different one to the TV audience, and they're going to the big shows and they're kind of like voting with their responses, and they're not going to tolerate the fact that the Judgment Day heel's on TV and Dominic's this like disgrace to the belt. Apparently when he works PLE, he's just Daniel Bryan. Right?
Doing one of the better high spots of the entire night and might be an issue here.
And like I think, right, they threw a couple of those in to allow the commentators to tell you, the viewer, you know, this might be why Dominic's getting a bit of support. He's got something in there like that. You have to like do the odd good wrestling move to be received as the babyface in the way that select crowds are coming unglued. And I think that's why those moves are put in there. It's like, well, we cannot just keep having him cheat and be a dick and then get cheered louder for it. That doesn't look right. Yeah. That was our problem for 20 years right there. And I think that was them trying to work with it. But you can only work so much with it because on Raw he still gets booed. So I don't know what the answer is to this Dominic Mysterio thing. So I thought those spots were the right idea. The diving DDT was too good for its own good.
Too good for its own. It's the best thing I've ever seen him do.
It was unbelievable.
It was so great.
And it was like, right, dial it back a touch. Like you can hit like a desperation frog splash. Pretty cool. Like, yeah, but there's a puzzle they're trying to solve with Dominic Mysterio. But there's an underlying issue that fans are starting to tell the booking, we want this instead. Not good. Like, get more in tune with your audience again, or is it just gone forever for another 20 years? Probably. But like...
Or are they clearly telling the story by having Finn Balor programmed with Dominic Mysterio? Don't worry, guys. You can get stop cheering him because we're going to let you do it all the time very soon when he feuds properly with Finn Balor. In the meantime, start to love him. He's your guy. We're onto this.
Something like, lush about him using the Oblivion. Like a real honor to that.
That was nice. That was genuinely nice. And the diving DDT, it's like they must know he's going to get a monster babyface reaction for doing this. Yeah, it's come at the expense of Penta, but I thought the whole run from day one was wildly overrated. But I think they just see him as a guy that they're going to put him in a tag team with at some point. So I don't think anything was spoiled here. I think they are gently encouraging the audience to go with Dom, who they see as a big-time babyface. And it's weird. What's going to happen here is Dominic Mysterio is going to get, because it's already happening, like, people forget 5 years he's been in this on a non-house show schedule, really, between the pandemic and them just scaling it back. He hasn't been in the game for that long. There's been so many moments, and it's natural given where he's at and the system he's joined, where sometimes the drop kick he'll do into someone's back to set up the 619 is pitiful, or he'll just get lost. That really isn't happening anymore. He's getting a lot more mechanically competent, and this is when the ball nose will start hating him for kind of getting better. No, I think he...
But it's when you turn him babyface and push him.
Yeah.
That's at least...
I thought this is... Like, I don't think anything's spoiling with Penta personally. So I thought this was a decent bit of business, this. It was like a nice little shootout of a match that I think was a deliberate choice.
Yeah. And then we got to the match that, everyone's been talking about. It was Gunther versus Pat McAfee.
I do a bloody list entry downstairs by the time he's finished doing this.
Michael Cole announcing.
He comes to ask for your cinnamon.
Yeah.
Michael Cole announcing beforehand, for the first time in his career, he's not going to be impartial. I can think of a few times when you were a heel commentator that you didn't quite exactly toe the line, but still. Obviously, for the most part, Gunther batters him. Maybe takes him slightly too lightly, but any time McAfee builds up any slight offense, like chinning him and then tripping over, he jumps over the top rope to get back in. Like Gunther, just one big boot puts him straight back down, or a big chop or whatever. He turned him into like a squashy at one point, didn't he? With the amount of chops that just hit him from there and above, he just turned pink, basically. McAfee gets a near fall, gets the hope spot that we all talked about he was going to get. He hits some kicks and punts and what have you, and a big punt into a super kick, rocks Gunther, but he gets a near fall from one of those. He also gets a kick counted into a huge power bomb, and then Gunther's like, good pin him, but I'm going to put him in a Boston Crab, and this is when Michael Cole rises up. He kept yelling, and I shout out to Mark Lee Willis. I've seen his comments about this, and I'll try and circle back to them in due course. He kept saying, yeah, come on, just beat him, just pin him, what are you playing at? And then come on, Pat, he's cheerleading for him, and poor Wade's like, shut up, Michael, he can hear you. Cole goes to ringside, though, when McAfee's in the Boston Crab, and Gunther drags him back to the center, but McAfee gets out of it. Gunther decides, right, you want to get involved, Michael Cole, in you come. But McAfee, that allows him to recover. He hits a big boot. Gunther kicks him down, tries to suplex him. I genuinely thought at this moment, oh my God, they're pinning Gunther. The moment where Michael Cole's holding Gunther's legs down from outside the ring, and I thought, we talked about this.
That was a good near fall.
Yeah,
I'll give them that.
I didn't think the pump was going to get the win, for example, but
it looked awful.
You know the bit where we talk about our wrestling brains, where you're convinced one person's always going to win going into it, and then something happens, and you book 3 or 4 months in advance in the time it takes the referee to count the 3. I went, oh my God, Gunther's going to lose. And then they're going to do some sort of handicap match where it's like Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, and Gunther's going to kill them both. And then that's when Goldberg's going to get involved. But obviously that didn't happen. Gunther kicked out and was fizzing, but he decides to focus up and concentrate, put Pat McAfee in a sleeper. McAfee actually got him in a sleeper at one point, which I thought was a nice sort of callback to his big weakness. Initially, McAfee though fights out of the sleeper. Gunther just takes his head off with the clothesline and puts him in it again, and that's the end of Pat McAfee after 14 minutes.
I'm gonna just try and say everything I loved about this without resorting to just having a go at the criticisms I hated that I saw, but I'll probably fail. You say the 14 minutes, and I have seen that being contentious, and I would understand it on paper. I simply did not experience that as a negative watching. I didn't look at my watch once.
No.
And I felt as this match progressed, it would be one of the matches I would have to fight for or something. I thought this was inch perfect. I wouldn't have taken a thing off it. I wouldn't have added a thing to it. Pat McAfee is almost universally disliked, I would say.
Some people love him.
Well, this
Go Cards.
This is kind of my point, right? To listen to or read criticisms of his commentary, you would think worst guy in the whole show.
And you'd be correct, sir.
I'm no fan of who I think Pat McAfee the person is. But to Sidgwick's point at the very start of this podcast about what it is that WWE crowds want, what they buy a ticket to see, Pat McAfee has dickloads of it, because this match doesn't work without that. There is not a single point in this match where the audience weren't with his fight, which as the supreme underdog babyface is vital. And it's too easy to simply say, well, that's Gunther's crowd control, because
I've never seen him beam as part of his entrance, though, which was very funny.
Really funny,
the
right?
whole, I'm going to kill this guy.
Yeah, right? It's simply too easy to just credit Gunther's magnificent crowd control as this bully heel and not apportion some of the credit to Pat McAfee and the timing of his comebacks and the failure, the botches that work sometimes, the failure to flip. He looked like an asshole, but fine, because he's the commentator that's dared to get back in the ring, and not just
Logan Paul can't do that. He can't trip as he goes over the top.
No, he absolutely cannot. No, he absolutely. That's a great comparison. He cannot do that. Pat McAfee is a guy, yes, that has wrestled before, but he is unmistakably a commentator that occasionally wrestles, and there's the difference had to be illustrated here. You can counter once or twice. You can go for the sleeper because you remember that was effective against him, and you know that
you saw it at WrestleMania.
Ringside for it. I mean, let's talk about that, by the way. This was a better match than Gunther versus Jey Uso.
Both didn't work for me, but
I hate both of them.
This was better than the Jey Uso match. Well, I thought it was better anyway. I thought it was way more effective at the story it was attempting to tell. And I didn't mind the Jey Uso match. I think it came in for a bit too much criticism, but I thought there was a clear story in that one and a clear story in this one, and I thought this one was better executed. And somewhere along the way, I think, again, this was the match where it was like, well, fed idiots love their slop. And it's like, I watch this with the sound off, and you're going to see people standing in that building. Like, watch it with your eyes closed, and you're going to hear the noise every time Pat McAfee even makes the slightest bit of a comeback. And that's why it could have gone 20 or 25 if you're controlling the crowd the way you are. And again, I'm only speaking from my personal experience. I'm not looking at my watch once. I'm not once thinking, how
The ratio of offenses askew.
How are they making Gunther look weak by having been at it? He was playing with his food the entire time. Like, if it goes 30, it's because that's how long Gunther wants to play with his food.
McAfee's big thing. Gunther went, I know what he's going to do here. Backflip. There it is.
Michael Cole standing up from the desk. And I mostly share Sidgwick's takes on Michael Cole, by the way. I don't have this, like, love for Michael Cole in any particular way. But I do genuinely like when you can...
dislike him intensely.
When you can use
I did hope he was going to get killed, which means we were going to get potentially Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett for the rest of the show. Yes, please.
It is weird. And Jim Ross always used to hate when he was featured. But it is weird, the relationship that you don't notice you built with the announcers until that relationship is put to the test. And I think for a lot of people in that crowd at Backlash, or this new audience of WWE fans that they have located in the last couple of years, they were experiencing for the first time that they have built a bond with commentators. And that's
I suppose for them it was a bit of a...
Teachable moment!
They've loved vocally Michael Cole for years. They do them Pat McAfee, it's your birthday gimmick or whatever. They know.
It is. That has turned over
don't
the past
get
couple of years. Like, this was... Like, Michael Cole gets involved and the loud crowd get louder. So, to sort of paintbrush it, Fed slop for idiots, what are they doing with Gunther? All that sort of stuff. I think you're wrong. I think you're outright wrong, because I don't want to get into like this. Again, I don't want it to become this philosophical thing. But like, what's pro wrestling if not what you were watching there? Like an enormously loud and impassioned response that wasn't like Sidge. We disagreed, but I think it was a healthy one over like the Cody and AJ match. And the nature of that crowd.
This was not that.
This was not that.
No.
This was the match being reacted to in exactly all the ways. This was a wrestler and a non-wrestler pulling all the levers and getting the exact right responses from pulling those levers. And again, for 14 minutes, that they probably could have continued to pull those levers for another 14 minutes. Yeah. And then the criticism will be like, he took 28 minutes to put Pat McAfee away. No. He enjoyed 28 minutes of different ways to brutalise Pat McAfee, where every now and then Pat McAfee...
Michael Cole was literally saying on commentary, just pin him. He was reminding you, he's won this match.
Pat McAfee, if we're being honest, is probably an underrated non-worker worker. Like, if you think about the times he's been in the ring, I'd take like 10 Pat McAfee matches over one Logan Paul one at this point. And like, probably because Logan Paul's attempted to cross that divide and become a worker, become a wrestler. Pat McAfee gets it. He gets it more than Logan Paul. He gets what it is to do this more than Logan Paul, even when he trips over the top rope trying to do a flip. He does. The coming down to the ring in the football top and then taking it off to wrestle to illustrate the physical difference between these two men from the off. That's the difference. Stuff like that to me is the difference. Like, you don't want to...
Triple H probably spent 4 hours on that.
We'll definitely see the tweet.
I've got it.
He loves it. He loves doing the entrances, doesn't he?
Take the shirt off. Like, we'll definitely see the tweet when Triple H puts himself over for that. But there was loads to this that Pat McAfee, I think, has got a lot of those instincts for. Very, very good crowd control. And a bond, an obvious bond that was tested here. Because if the bond isn't real, none of this match works. Gunther gets a lot of it over because he's amazing at pretty much everything that is required to be a WWE heel. But you need the babyface in there to be the one to take it all. And the babyfaces, in this case, were Cole and Pat McAfee. This was like a no-notes success story for me. And as a Gunther that is in denial about what's happened to him at WrestleMania, and not for the first time, like an inch perfect side quest as well. Like range, I talk about this all the time, range on pay-per-view cards, range of what wrestlers are getting up to in their 12 months of the year in between WrestleMania, range. If you do too much of the same thing all the time, it cannot be Ilya Dragunov every time with Gunther. It just cannot.
Yeah.
And I understand that people want it because it was Ilya Dragunov all the time with Walter. He was able, if he came to your town, to give you that 10 times out of 10, and that was amazing on its own terms. But it's never been that with Gunther, and it never should be that with Gunther. Don't aim for that with Gunther.
No.
You know? I was trying to like land on another example that proves this true, but I just know it to be true. Like, the success of the Gunther character relies on him kind of looking like he's never moving up and down the card, but subtly doing just that for when he gets to one of his ups again. I love this.
Didn't work for me. Obviously, it worked for everybody else. I
It
know that
it didn't work for everybody else.
It did not.
Like,
Well, everyone in the audience anyway.
Yeah.
Anyone in that live crowd, and I feel like that's an easy thing to say, and I'm just hand waving it. But if I'm going to get specific about it, right, it kind of worked for that audience, but I don't think they did a particularly good job of the dramatic timing, like, or the actual structure that they should have went with. Look, if I'm going to do this match, and it hasn't harmed Gunther in any way, it wasn't a disaster, I still think that buy-in between audience and the character will exist, and Gunther will go on to smash Goldberg and have a world title match with CM Punk, and he'll still be Gunther. I don't think he was weakened by this at all. But I was honestly just a bit confused by what they were going with here, and they should have bloodied him up. Should have busted his head open. Like, I know they've just done it with Jimmy Uso, and then maybe don't want to do it as, Gunther's trick is he does this, because his other trick is he wins titles all the time. You're trying to get away from the easy stuff with Gunther, right? But it felt like there should have been more understated and more focused, because for 14 minutes, I didn't get much hope out of McAfee. I got more hope out of Cole doing the leg thing than anything McAfee did. I thought it should have been get up, lift the shoulders off the mat, covered in blood, and built around one hope spot. But the amount of times where there was like that feeling of hope, and then Gunther just got him again, I felt like it just started to loop a lot for me. And I was like, I just had this feeling and this thought running through my head of, I get it, go to the finish. That's why the length was a problem for me. I thought they could have really developed something within about 7-8 minutes built around this one surge. On McAfee and him not being good, that's kind of the story, right? The botch, I thought, good. Feature not a bug. Coming off the top rope, what are you doing that for? Like, it's almost good that you slipped, because it sort of plays into the story that you are telling here. It's almost like, I would have almost done a worked botch for this match on that purpose, right? Where this fell apart for me, big time, is if you're Pat McAfee, you can't wrestle. You can't wrestle Gunther, who's presented in WWE as an impeccable pro wrestler within the context of sports entertainment. It's one thing to botch doing something off the top rope or doing a backflip, because that's not what you're known for. You can do literally one thing. I have a very limited understanding of football, NFL. My understanding is he's literally got one job, and that is to kick a ball really hard and accurately. And then he gets the points from that. I don't know football. If you look, and this has to work if you're Gunther and he's selling it. You can't just fill it in the theater of your mind, right? And yes, I'm going to do a comparison. If you look at a prime Shibata PK compared to that punt from McAfee, it's a night and day.
Gunther no-sold it and flipped it on purpose, I think. He was like,
did it twice. He had to do it
what
twice.
the hell was that? And he folded him around and booted him in the back. So that's how he boots. I felt like I was watching him be
But
like,
then he had to do it again. Do it again. Even the second one looked bad. And he's like, you can't keep doing it. It's like, this is where I don't know if it's a WWE thing. It's like, well, put some blood in it. Put some real peril in it. Like if you're going to build that hope spot around a punt, just have Gunther say to him, I don't care what Levesque has told you or whatever, or Kidman or Tyson Kidd has said, boot me as hard as physically possible just once in the chest, and I'll do a 2.999 out of it. Or like Levesque should have said, boot him. There was no boot. It's the one thing he could do, and he didn't do it. So that's totally fallen apart for me. Crowd loved it. I didn't. Crowd loved it. I didn't. I thought it looped a lot. And again, like this match, if you think Michael Cole is an automaton cliche, what I don't like about Cole is not just his soulless commentary, is he's very much in that club. And that club is really starting to get in of like Heyman's doing a lot of more of his stuff. Levesque even more. I'm the thing of this. Cole and McAfee, that all the lads hang out in the boys' club of WWE. Them appearing more and more on TV over the past weeks and months, I really don't like. So that probably affected my enjoyment of this match as well. That disdain that Cole has, tweeting and blogging on the dirt sheets. Like, he hates me and I don't like him. Like, he hates me and I hate him. So when he's doing, it's like, oh, Michael Cole standing up for McAfee, who I also don't like. This was never going to hit for me on an emotional level, but it did for the fans. Therefore, it was pretty much a resounding success if you look at the reaction. Physically, nowhere near good enough. And I think there were structural issues as well.
Just on the structural thing, I saw it. I get what you're saying about the looping thing, but I quite liked it. I thought it was, because I kind of like, it changed my brain chemistry early on, because I thought they'd go down the Jimmy Uso, he's killing him out there, really. Yeah. And instead, I thought they tried to illustrate that Pat McAfee was more a defiant non-wrestler than a wrestler. And that defiance was what Gunther had to, the only obstacle in Gunther's way was Pat McAfee's almost weird, cartoonish defiance. I'm going to keep getting back up, because then he'd take that like light switch off a chop. But he stood up again, and like that was kind of Pat McAfee's only comeback. It wasn't an offensive move.
Stuff just looked awful.
Like he didn't have anything on offense that was remotely good enough. His only attack was good defense, which is he's still standing up. Like this is the same idiot that was willing to talk back to me over the last 2 weeks on Raw. The same idiot that was willing to sort of, in that awesome segment they had on the post WrestleMania Raw, step to me in the first place. That was like Pat McAfee's calling card. It's been the consistent thing about this entire mini story.
I've always liked, I should add, his promos more than the selling of the whatever.
Yeah, but so. I think he was trying to illustrate that physically.
He's just bad.
He's not a wrestler, is he?
Yeah, but he's not even a good non-wrestler for me anymore.
But I did enjoy watching Gunther continue to beat him up with glee. Like,
Gunther didn't look enough like a Mullen. I don't think Gunther was that good in this.
Well, see, this is interesting because I thought you were going to say, but I will say Gunther was good or whatever. I remember last year you weren't particularly taken with Gunther's title reign, brackets general.
I don't think he's been that great a wrestler. Whisper it because it's sacrilegious, especially when he's like the WWE fans' big guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been that amazing for a calendar year. Ever since what's he done that's been amazing post Sami Zayn WrestleMania?
Well, see, I preferred this to like almost everything I can think of from his title reign. Truthfully, like I don't
think the title reign was that good.
I don't totally oppose you there. Yeah. I think elements of it. I really love watching him, and I think he does a lot for me in the matches. But
so much better with that Intercontinental title in the World Heavyweight. I think maybe there's been a drop off in his work as well.
I think it's like
I've been frightened by a Gunther match in ages. Like, oh Christ, I haven't winced at the chops even for a long time.
Yeah, I'm not wincing. I'm like kind of enjoying the monster, but I'm not fearing him. If you know what I mean, I think like. But I got some of that from this. I got like more from this than say, what was like the low ebb. I really didn't like how long the Randy Orton bashing Berlin thing. That felt a bit indulgent, you know. And they've done a lot of matches where Gunther there'll be
more of that too.
There'll be a handshake at the end with Gunther, either because he's won or because he's lost. And it's like they're tweaking who he is as a person. You've got to try and read him psychologically more than wince at the chops. And I like that element of it. But I got way more from this. Like I'm all for a bit more sports entertainment Gunther over looking for another Sami Zayn match, because I don't know if there's many of them up and down the card. It's very much about the wrestler he's in there with.
There's not many good ones in the Fed.
Well, let's get to the main event of the evening. 25 years in the making. A wonderful video package. As I was watching it, I was thinking...
and 125 times in the doing.
You're building this up too much, lads. It was John Cena versus Randy Orton for the world title, of course. 28 minutes.
There too long.
A lot of chin locks in there. The anticipated spot that we all talked about, which you've seen before, of course, as you say, for each other over 100 times. The AA into the RKO. There was a bit where...
Bless the fans that have never seen that once. And they're just having a great old time and like, whoa! And then to your point, are you stupid? You stupid idiot or something. 14.
That's fine. They're allowed.
Same with the running shoulders. RKO.
Do you think they just forgot it? This whole celebrated illustrious rivalry, and it was so forgettable and constant that they just forgot that spot had.
This match is like weird parallel universe, right? Because this match was absolutely trash, and I think it might be the best one I've ever had. I'm not joking. Like what? Like the people.
The dumber the better with these two.
I said to
the dumber the better. Like that hour long.
We did a Q&A.
Yeah, the Iron Man.
Yeah, I like the Iron Man. Like we did the Q&A and we were talking about this match, and I said I think this is the exact right time, place, and everything for this match. Like they need just a babyface to root solidly for against the John Cena with all the pantomime bells and whistles of his mostly lousy work. Here it is. Like, these were at their worst when they were proficient over 18 boring minutes in the mid-2000s.
I was sat there watching this thinking, if this was in Newcastle, we'd go. Obviously, it's good fun night out and stuff. But, like, would I move heaven and earth to be like, I've got to be there? It's John Cena versus Randy Orton for the last time.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But St. Louis, like, when Randy Orton got to, like, 14 on that punch, and they 15, all right, I'll give that to Randy. 15, 16, oh, you, like, friggin', like, Hogan Rock in Toronto or something. What?
It was so loud in there. And as I mentioned, not only the RKO out of the AA, but the shoulder charges, running shoulders, I should say, was also a one where he hit an RKO, which we've seen before.
Yeah.
Hell in a Cell, I want to say.
Aye.
I saw people tweeting about this.
He counters it in the same way that, like, Seth counters with the pedigree, where the wrestler, when you watch it, kind of has to run into it. But in the moment, you're like, oh, good one.
Running shoulders, not running head, mate. Put that out at the front. Anyway.
Guard yourself.
Randy Orton sets up for the punt at one point, misses it. Cena hits an AA and decides, I'm gonna hit the bad the one. Hearing voices now, lots of faces. Lots of faces.
He's hopeless.
Yeah, I can't. Like,
He is absolutely dreadful at his job.
It was SmackDown, wasn't it? Where he's like, look at me! And he's getting RKO'd by the real Randy Orton.
But you see, he's doing a redemption story. God, he's got that Fed contempt.
Long lingering looks.
He's
Pretend middle distance.
Anyway,
they won't know what I'm doing. 'Cause I can see it a mile away. I can hear it as well. You sport caller.
Can't possibly be terrible. Here's my SAG card.
Yeah. It's crap. Who's crap and this is drivel.
There's a referee bump that allows Cena to go and grab the belts, but he takes too long, and Randy Orton hits an RKO, and the ref, 1, 2, oh no. John Cena kicks out. They go to the outside. Orton clears off the announce table. Gets sent into the referee again, who goes into the stairs this time. Cena's AA gets countered by Orton, who AAs him onto the table, which does and doesn't break. It doesn't break, and then one leg just goes. So Orton's like, right, we can do a table spot.
Gave that a go at WrestleMania. Shouldn't be going back to it.
Yeah.
Now it's the worst of both worlds. Thanks, cool new tables. Cena and Orton ruined it like they ruined everything for 20 years.
Yeah, they did. Sure did.
Orton hit an AA through a normal table. And
20's harsh. 15.
15, yeah. Be fair.
It's an RKO. Another referee runs in. 2 count. Cena belt shots him accidentally, trying to hit Orton this time. This time, Randy Orton hits another RKO. There's still no referee. This time, the officials run down. There's a SmackDown GM. I can't remember what his name is.
Nick Aldis.
Thanks. He's there. He eats an RKO.
Loads of people. You're good for that.
Loads of people do.
One of my flaws. One of my weaknesses.
Cena's still down. All the officials have been taken out. Randy Orton loads up the pump, but who stops him? Who saves John Cena?
Swerve. Just who? That's just Swerve now in my head.
No, it's John Cena's biggest fan, R-Truth, who begs him not to do it. Orton gets rid of him, though. Cena low blows Orton, belt shot, and 1, 2, 3, John Cena retains the world title. And I should mention, subsequently in the press conference, AA's R-Truth through the table.
It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I laughed and laughed and laughed. What if John Cena wrestles Aleister Black?
Oh, God.
I'd love that.
Mostly bad, this. So I feel like I'm this like alternate universe Vince Russo, castrating the wrestling fans. Like, we previewed Backlash, and I called this finish nearly spot on.
Yes.
Because it's there. Like, if there was a good chance that R-Truth was going to save him, because they are arriving at the point at which John Cena faces R-Truth in this John Cena like run. And I'm going like, you don't watch the show, so you tune into Backlash to be angry at this or something. I was perfectly tolerant of this. I was bitterly disappointed with that press conference. Not just because the whole thing looked crap. Like, really badly performed trash. Like, what have you got in R-Truth and John Cena? If you've got nothing, if you hate this sort of stuff, right? If you've got nothing else, you have got fans that just don't want to see R-Truth get his heart broken by John Cena.
You've got months of manipulation to play with here. Months.
Stick it in 10 buildings. No. We're going to an empty press room in front of like 20 people that would comp tickets to ask crap questions. Like, where's the lie? Like, what a waste of the turn, right? The months of manipulation. Like, I don't care if you want to do it the next Saturday night's main event. Bloody him up, pal. Like, now you've got to have the R-Truth. Like, you must have been so tired by your match. You didn't mean to AME through the table, did you, John? And all your sympathy's gone. Now you're back to...
So John Cena's hopeless.
Now you're back to R-Truth the idiot rather than R-Truth the affectionate fool that just desperately wants to cling on to this belief that... There was, like, actual heft to this R-Truth thing. And I'm an R-Truth apologist, but, like, there was heft to this. Yeah. And they've just... that heft through a table, like in an empty room, and that was real dumb.
John Cena was Vince McMahon's key collaborator during the worst his brain's gone to soup era of Vince McMahon. It's no wonder that he's hopeless. I've been telling people this for as long as I've been doing this.
I was giving it this.
The old Miz Dad.
It's the old Miz Dad, old George Mizanin to The Rock on behalf of the game Triple H, right? After this John Cena heel turn mess. It's mostly been a mess, right? One amazing turn, one amazing CM Punk promo, the rest absolute trash. That's been the story of this, like once in a generation heel
Go
turn.
hang on the SmackDown before Mania.
Yes.
That was good.
Could have a good ending, maybe. Then maybe there's a couple.
No, because the ending is I'm redeemed. Well, what does it matter? Because they've chanted "Let's go Cena." Cena sucks at you the entire time.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so no good ending. There's been like two good things and that's it. And I was like, bloody Rock. Like, I can't blame The Rock for this. Triple H is booking this.
Triple H has booked it since the night after Elimination Chamber.
Sorry.
All they've done is just have John Cena talk at people. This was the opportunity for an actual angle and a story with R-Truth, and they've just literally ate it through a table.
It was nuts, man. The match was mostly crap. They were really onto something. This is my point about this being substantially better than the other 1,900 of these matches. They were genuinely onto something going full Hogan Warrior pantomime. They were... And they didn't have enough, from Triple H downwards, nobody had enough faith in that being enough. And I've seen matches where a bunch of referees are getting knocked out, and the idea is you manufacture chaos. It's like a sort of like, isn't chaos great as booked by people that evidently don't really like chaos?
Yeah.
Triple H is many things. Plenty of them I like. He is not a booker that enjoys chaos. Not really.
Yeah.
Right?
It's always so fake when he tries it.
Yeah.
It's one of his, like, remember the debut episode of NXT on USA Network?
Like, you work so hard to manufacture it, it then feels manufactured, and ergo it can't be chaos.
He can never do it.
Right? And you had that here.
He's the least chaotic, he's the most calculated individual in wrestling history.
Yeah.
He can never do chaos.
And I think play to your strengths, not your obvious weaknesses. And had this match just been like a bit of a cell phone, God, these guys are older versions of themselves. One of them's somehow they've like swapped places size-wise. Orton's bigger than Cena now. This is weird, but what a building to do it in. And Cena cheats. And you're like, you bastard. And then they throw a bit of rubbish in, and R-Truth's been the one to help him. And it's like, whoa, skin of me teeth.
I said to threaten Orton's family.
Oh, yeah, off I go to SmackDown. Thank God I've got this idiot on my side. Whatever, that kind of stuff. And they didn't. They did all of it, and it was out of a blind panic. I think they went into this thinking that the fans at some point were going to lose faith. And I think if they'd have just stayed the course and held the wheel with their boring-ass big spot stuff, they would have got there.
I know that it can be draining, especially if you're not even on X and you think, why are your minds so polluted by this? I understand it, right? But we're on it. We're addicted. We kind of need it for work, whatever. This isn't an X thing. This isn't a Twitter thing. This is something that has haunted me. And indeed, a lot of, I would gather, listeners and viewers for decades, years and years and years, if not a decade plus and change, right? What are the little things? Someone in the chat, or someone tell me, these little things Randy Orton is so good at. Tell me what they are, because you never, ever, I've never heard anyone specify, and I'm on one, so please don't cut me off. I'm asking you as a friend. No one has ever been able to specify or articulate or provide insight into what these wonderful little things Randy Orton is so great at, right? I've been told, and Randy Orton is like considered one of these bizarre poster childs for like, and you know, he himself will say this sort of thing. Weirdly, his peers do. I don't get what you're coming from. I would like it explained to me. Spoon feed it to me like I'm 5. What are these little things that Randy Orton is supposedly so great at? He is this poster child, and he himself with his like thigh slapping stuff. I don't do any of that fake flippy. You know, when he was like, the thigh slap with Ciampa. I think they were building the match, but it's very much his
Dive, was that his
dive.
thing?
He endorsed the Rip Rogers thing. He presents himself and he's promoted as, and maybe it all is just empty, hollow marketing and promotion, this bastion of purity in pro wrestling and the little things and the craft and, you know, the spaces between moves and the body language. And Randy's just so great at the little things, you know, and you get these his fans who will echo this without applying a shred of critical thought and insight into what these little things supposedly are with Randy Orton. And as I said, it's not an X thing. And I know that reacting to what other people say, not a good structure for critical thought myself, right? I would just like to know what these little things are. Because I watched a match, right, that was so undignified, so lacking in ideas and craft. Playing house show hits, fine. It's what you are capable of at this age in your career, right? What are these little things and where were they? Because this was them saying, should we do what shortcuts should we do to try and get a reaction? Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Literally, and it was almost entertaining on its own undignified, idealist, desperate, carny terms of we'll just literally do everything we possibly could 3 times on occasion to do cliched WWE big match slop. It was like this undignified, totally self-aware.
This was slop for idiots.
Yeah, this totally undignified, but really self-aware. There was almost an honesty to this that I quite enjoyed of, well, we can't do anything else. Let's just do all the slop. Each bit of slop times 3. Bang, bang, tables, ref bumps, belt shots. Again, producers, fake. Let's just do everything that is this checklist of what a WWE final go mad for and do it 5 times. I almost enjoyed the honesty of, well, we can't craft anything epic or great or understated. We can't do the little things, Randall. So let's just do all this slop times 1,000,000 instead. There was like an honesty to this that I quite enjoyed.
You know, you've talked before about...
what are these little things?
The funny thing, like wrestlers, like Val Venus could be in Mensa. Kane could be in Mensa. How'd that work out for you? Like, because wrestlers say little things, what they mean is, like, it's a night off at the house show. Like, little thing, you wouldn't get it. A night off at the house show. You don't have to work hard to entertain the people that bought a ticket. Like, they
don't remember anything until the RKO happens.
Yeah.
Apart from this being like a really good recent example, like, Randy Orton throughout the duration of a match in the way that Omega can, Tanahashi can, Okada, Misawa, Kobashi, like all the great big match workers, has he ever done that over the course of 20 minutes? Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston in 2019. Tell me the little things that made that match great. Tell me them now.
See, and I like this Orton because it's the first time I've ever believed him. I don't feel like he's going out there and performing as like a human snake or a human wrestler or whatever the things he's always been asked to do. I just think I'm watching Randy Orton be like, this is pretty cool. Turns out I put in 20 years and they're just with it. And I'm massive.
Yeah.
It's huge, yeah.
Like, I'm a massive. I got about 40 kids and I've sort of survived a weird old life. And here we are. And I can see that on his face. And
his promos, I think, are strong as hell.
Doesn't look like he's performing. And I love that for him. Because
I think even he himself has said, I finally cut loose. Yeah. And obviously it's a dirty word and he should be. But Riddle was like, he credited Riddle with I finally relaxed and I can just get on with it now.
It felt like a bit of a war of attrition against himself at times, and it's not that anymore. And I get like
should have RKO'd himself.
It's what he needs to do.
Maybe figuratively did.
There's a comfort to Randy Orton's work that I genuinely appreciate now. And I go back to this match.
There's an honesty to this. It's total slop, and he probably goes, it's the easiest house I'll ever work.
And there was a thing they might have had here until they threw it away with the fake chaos and with the all the shortcuts, all of them. I was thinking...
Never thought the title was going to change hands. Ever.
No, not once. I was thinking when you were talking there, Sidge, you know, like...
More chance of Pat McAfee beating Gunther.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theory you've got about, like, I don't know, like the 12 trials of CM Punk or whatever. Like, here comes another one, you're going to work Saudi Arabia or whatever. I think it's like Triple H, deep down in his gut, still pretty jealous that, like, Punk's better.
Yeah.
And he is better. Big one for you, Punker. I'm hearing online, as in reading thousands of tweets from all my burners, that you and Cena's the one. Every time you get in there, it's magic. And I saw it for myself at Elimination Chamber. Like, he's got like 5 heel things, John Cena, that he does. And he cannot put them together at all.
No,
he's doing them in all the wrong
Very
places.
bad
in the
at
match.
the job.
Like, considering how many heels he's wrestled and killed, you'd think he'd have picked up something from them, but he can't. He's got like 5 heel tricks and he's putting them in all the wrong places. Can you do your magic with this dynamic switch? Because I think that's another test of CM Punk. Like, they have this nailed on. It's always magic chemistry. What if the scene heel turn has broken that? Like, next test, Punk.
It's breaking WWE at large.
You're going to be
some might say.
You're going to be the heart and sleeve babyface against heel John Cena with his 5 heel tricks that he puts in all the wrong places in his matches. Make it good.
Yeah.
Go to work. If you can do that, the world is yours again.
Got some questions in.
We got a comment a long time ago. Thank you to Tactical Penguin. Thank you to everyone who
Hope
sent
you're
us
still
lovely
here.
messages. Who says, afternoon, lads, I'm really disappointed WWE moved on to the R-Truth story so quickly. They could have made this a long burn, but Cena should blow smoke in his face. You said before, that's not happening, is it?
No, they do not like smoking on TV, much less pro wrestling, which they will have on TV because it's on TV every single week. And they tolerate wrestling to this day. Look, I was baffled when I saw that press conference. There might still, I think the toothpaste is out of the tube now because the big moment where Cena being really cruel to R-Truth gets physical. For the apparent long-term cinema storytelling, they've really botched this one.
Unless they do the argument that they have done occasionally, which is, well, that wasn't on telly, so that didn't count.
No, I don't know. No, it's canonical. It's a fictional. It's a show. These are shows. Look, I know that he's not there, so they can't do the weekly losing patience gimmick and the Roman Sammy stuff. Basically, they can't do that because they don't have the luxury. But they could have dragged that out for a bit longer than this and did a TV match nearer the end of the run.
That's
like
it.
Cena, like R-Truth could have been his running buddy.
Yeah.
It's like, don't cheat, R-Truth. We don't want to see that out of you. They could have done loads with this and they're just doing a match.
That's what we should get across.
The match was the worst part.
Yeah.
They're doing it first.
The dates thing is why it's happened. That's the reality check is the dates thing is why it's happened. But just like be a bit more elegant.
Do you want one of the last dates?
Don't do Saturday night's main event match in May. Like, you've got time with this and equity with it and all that sort of stuff.
Do a penultimate.
Mark Lee Willis, thank you for all your comments, Mark, says, afternoon all, sorry to piss on people's chips. I think Cena's champ and Cole's conscience thing is embarrassing. Nonsensical, lazy portrayals of the characters WWE wants you to think they should be. You could see Cena talking to Randy throughout, and Cole flip-flopping from just pin him to, come on, Pat, was just eye-roll emoji. Hope you're all well, though. Hope you are too. Thank you, Mark.
That's kind of what we've talked across throughout this entire review, isn't it? I don't think anyone is reacting to... Michael Cole is the better example there. Nobody's reacting. Nobody's faking anything. There's just an audience that loves Michael Cole and just accepts him for what they're being told, as there isn't an audience, plenty of which will be listening and watching, that cannot stand him and haven't liked him for 30 years.
Hi to the lovely...
Cena's rubbish. I completely and firmly agree with that. Absolutely hopeless to a level even I'm surprised by, actually. And again, I did call it on a YouTube video late last year that this could be the thing that goes wrong for WWE this year, so maybe not.
Mark also says, you know the rule of 5 in a match, 5 people equals fire emoji. Does it apply similarly to alliteration? 5 is quite impressive, says Mark. Also, thanks to Newcastle for beating Chelsea.
Hey, you're welcome. I had a lot to do with it. 5, oh, no, 3 or more.
Anything 3 or more is...
Look, I'll tell you what, there are exceptions. If you want to... There's a famous Twin Peaks scene where Special Agent Albert Rosenfeld will use alliteration, but he's basically a heel character. He's a bad guy. So if you want to write a fictional character to be an arsehole, alliteration will work the longer it goes on, yes. So there are exceptions to every rule and a good and bad version of everything.
Hi, the lovely Mimi Burris, who says, hello, happy Monday. Glad to have the Dadleys back. Good to be back.
Oh, thank you very much for that.
Really?
And Matt Rains says, happy Monday, brothers. Absolute chaos over the weekend, and that's just the playoffs. Ashley pops at every one of your basketball tweets. Bestie, have a great day, guys. Sunderland eyes emoji.
Yeah. There's 2 playoffs.
Eyes on Newcastle because they're obsessed.
2 playoffs going on.
Yes.
That
More attention than you need in your life.
Yeah, truthfully. Gonna have to take my boys to the game now. I'm living this through
Tomorrow night.
living this through my kids rather than through me. I still don't think we'll win, but like
It'll make it to the final.
maybe it's
No, definitely.
it's one of those.
That would be the battle of red and white as well. Because Chef, you were basically there, aren't they?
Yes. And then is it like a coin flip?
Ooh.
Same as picking which side you play to as well. And something, I'm excited for the kids because it's one of them death or glory nights, isn't it? It's well, you wanted this, and it's going to be awesome, or it's going to suck the most ass.
You could be well, good news, bad news. Bad news, we've lost to Coventry and we're out of the playoffs, and that's the end of the season. Good news is you're not going to get battered every single week in the Premier League next season.
This is it. They don't get that. They want it. They blindly, and it's lovely.
Show them Ipswich.
And optimistically want it. They They kind of came in at the back end of last season, and if only we could catch Leicester, but Leicester. You do watch these match of the day highlights for me, don't you? You realise how this could go, but kids be stupid.
See Southampton's tweet, by the way, at the weekend. Basically tweeting Derby unlucky, we got an extra point, so they're not matching the record lowest points now. That's the little victories they had to celebrate.
Have some self-respect, lads.
Yeah, I know.
Good win for you at the weekend, though.
Ooh, it was.
But
Villa have got Spurs and we've got Arsenal. Two different propositions for the next game week.
Newcastle could finish second easily.
Not easily. Come on, let's not be stupid.
Arsenal
win next week.
If we get second is in our hands because we've got Arsenal to play.
Ooh.
But they'll be desperate to give us a hiding.
None but lads.
But they'll be desperate to give us a hiding though. Turn them out 3 times this season, man. It's getting embarrassing.
Very.
You know, I'm the worst person to ask for these soccer tangents.
Oh yeah.
I'm not rational in the least.
You can call him rationale.
No, irrational.
Irrational. I don't like it, really.
I'm not.
I like Sunderland. I don't like football. That's truthfully where I'm at. I've been that way for years.
I watched the playoff first leg semi-final with the missus, who was a Sunderland fan. What a wacky couple. On Friday, and she was getting really, 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 really nervous and irrational. I'm like, you know that you've defended incredibly well throughout this game, and that you are starting to get a lot of turnovers and possession, and there's one way this tends to go. She's like, no, we're going to lose. I was like, no, pretty much, I think you're going to win this. And lo and behold, it did. And I just said to her, and she agreed, neither of us are psychologically wired for football. No. Matt Raines is a good soccer fan. He just believes they're going to win every game. Almost too arrogant, if anything. 6-0, you wanted to win against Arsenal at the weekend when you're on the beach already. Don't know how that was going to happen, but I'd rather be Matt Raines than me as a football fan.
I'm exactly the same. I remember watching your League Cup final against Liverpool and going, got 2-0 up. Even when they came back, I was like, they've got this in the bag. They've got 6 strikers on the pitch, Liverpool, and they're doing nothing. It's not like you're just hanging on with the skinny teeth. It's the exact same person, me, watched England play, I think it was Ukraine in the quarterfinals of the Euros a few years back, and we went into half-time 4-0 up, and I was like, keep it tight the back second half. We don't want them coming back. What? But yes, very clever move by Chesterfield. Just
the old drillistico, as we call it.
Walsall, think you're in the final, are you? Home game 2-0 up. Be a real shame if you bottled that. I'm happy with League Two. Let's stay there next season. Another day out for the Dudley boys. Let's get that.
I have been mainly because I know Sidgwick will rip the piss out of me on these podcasts for it, but I've been trying really hard to keep my post-trip blues at bay. And by virtue of our win, there was a bunch of Sunderland accounts sharing, where did you watch the match and all this kind of thing, show with your mates and stuff. And there was a picture shared by the Calgary branch of Sunderland fans, and they were in a pub I was in a week ago. I took a picture of a Sunderland scarf, and I was like, well, wish I was there.
Could have been me.
Could have been me. But I can't just stay there. They don't let you.
Indeed. Back to wrestling.
Not quite, actually, because Steve Nikolakopoulos says, g'day, handsome gents.
Aye.
Basketball tangent.
Yes.
We got anything for basketball?
The dribble.
Yeah.
Who do you want to win the championship? Thunder should statistically.
Mm-hmm.
Tangent over. Who should have been the third man for Hogan and Bischoff? Mickey Gooch!
Mickey Gooch!
Gooch is here!
Look, I'll say it again, Conrad. Imagine weekly verifiable Hogan lies.
Oh,
that would be a lovely little gift for the timeline. I think everyone could have some fun with that. So I wish it was Conrad for that reason. I don't usually wish for him to do anything. In terms of who I want to win, just the New York Knicks.
Oh, yeah.
Just sounds like Ibu's team. I like Ibu.
They're having a great series with the Celtics at the moment as well. So where the most entertainment's been in this round of fixtures. My beloved Timberwolves. I've loved them all month. So
They're still in.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to say they're out. Okay.
No, I'm kind of ride or die with the Timberwolves.
My books are gone, aren't they? My Milwaukee.
Or the Pacers, or anyone in Hamflett's net shooters against Phil's basket men. But
God, he's so lame the way you talk.
it was so much fun, man. Just picking teams, and then it turns out we've got 4 left each, and we could have 2 left each. It could go right the way to the final. That's, to be honest, that's what I'm rooting for more than I'm individual teams. I want a me versus Phil's final.
I the least want the Knicks to reach the actual finals altogether because 2 funny outcomes are possible. One, New Yorkers going Aggie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Enraged is always funny. 2, New York City is a city full of main characters, so them like saying it was like ordained for it to happen, and that would be funny as well.
Written in the stars.
Yeah.
Matt Raines has been back on. Newcastle finishing second would be incredible. F. Arteta.
I hate him as well. Bro. My liege. He should be saying liege to me.
Matt also said he wanted to lose 6-0 to make those Arsenal accounts go even crazier. I'm a simple man. So he wanted them to be like, well, we beat the champion, so where's our trophy? But,
Okay, I'm with you.
Arteta described himself, I was listening to 606 on the drive home yesterday, and he described himself as the best of the rest. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton were like, best of the rest trophy. There you go, pal.
What's going on?
It's not even that yet.
Okay, what's going on? I hear this every
They
now
could
and
finish
then,
fifth.
Smarty. What's going on with him?
He's a deluded narcissist.
lost it.
He's lost it. He's got zero accountability. Absolutely. He did actually say we haven't been good enough in the league. And I was shocked at a little bit of candid truth from him. Ordinarily, zero likability, an excuse merchant, no accountability. It's got to the point now where reporters to his face are like, are you joking? Like, are you actually joking? Like, he's got all the PSG people were saying that we were the best. And she went, which ones? Which?
Where are these little things you're supposedly good at?
It's like the Carrie thing in is it Truman Show? Jim Carrey was like, "The hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to? Who the hell are you talking to?"
Watched Liar Liar again over the weekend.
in Truman Show's Rock Spawn Netflix.
What's your favourite scene?
Actually, only watched the last. It was like the last
Yeah, but you've
half
seen
an
it before
hour.
though. So what is your favourite scene in Liar Liar?
There's a bit in the lift and stuff. It's quite good.
Bit in the elevator.
Yeah.
Quite wound up when they're talking about the cage match between Randy Savage and Rick Rude because that couldn't have happened in any timeline, fictional or otherwise.
Fictional, you can do what you want, so don't
Yeah,
get too wound up.
no. Well, she used correct wrestlers on the same roster at the same time or with the right heel babyface. Rude was retired by the time that could have taken place. So
Yeah, but they didn't know that. If
there
it
was
was
no
filmed.
cage match that could have happened, Sidge.
Made in fiction.
Weight 105. Yeah, in your bra. It's all good stuff. One final comment to finish on because I'm not finishing on that. And that is from Kid Cutty. Thank you for your comment.
Have you gone through all the comments, all the
Yes.
paid ones?
Yeah.
Good. Just make sure.
Sums up exactly what you said kind of at the start of this, which is a nice way to finish this all off. He says, if you don't like WWE, then you didn't like it. I do, so I liked it. Easy watch, good to great matches, had something for everybody, good times. Kind of reflecting what we've said.
I watch. There's certain times from WWE fans, and they're not this like groupthink or whatever, where I'm like, you're lying. It was bad. You're kind of bargaining. And you see it a lot when people are really fiercely tribal about one thing or another. Good God, I know I've seen it with AEW when I've like, I'll lean that way. I'm inclined to like AEW more than most wrestling and all the rest of it. There's been times when it's been outwardly bad. I've said, look, this is pretty bad. And they go, no. It's like, it is. You're bargaining. You don't want it to be bad because you've based a lot of your identity and you've invested a lot in it. Bad, and you just don't want to accept that it's bad. I'm sorry. Backlash was not that. Backlash was, if you like the Fed, you've probably had a great time reliving Orton, Cena, and Michael Cole's your hero. You're not bargaining for it. It's you.
A very, very prominent former voice of this space heaped far more praise on a terrible era for WWE than he ever does now, like in his sort of unpaid capacity. Let's just say he had a different opinion to many others on Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 36 and was screenshotted being caught having a different reaction. He is way more critical of a far tighter WWE than he was for the just like worst, like 2019.
Yeah, but he's not getting paid.
Exactly. Yeah, like there was people fighting for God, just burning
Garbage.
trash.
Yeah. Fighting for it.
That was once a thing.
But let us know your
Some might say it still is.
let us know your thoughts on Backlash in the comment section below, or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there, you can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
You can follow our brilliant producer Adam Nicholas at
It's Adam Nicholas.
Been there the whole time.
I was not here though.
you can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. Make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Backlash review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.